in our school district. I know it's over 1,000 with Dearborn Public Schools. Now, we keep mentioning Dearborn Public Schools, but we all know this is pretty much the same information for surrounding districts and our good neighbors on the other side of the bridge in Windsor. So I can tell you one thing about Mike. He's very welcoming. He has an open door policy when it comes to dealing with students and parents. He's a great communicator. Anytime I reach out to Mike or Superintendent Dr. Maleko, Mike doesn't hesitate. He doesn't say tell the parents, especially if it's a parent. He does not tell the parents, shoot me an email. He says, give them my phone number. Okay, Nofila, you ready for the show today?
I am ready.
All right.
Are you ready, Mike?
All right, I'm ready, and I just want to say thank you so much for having me on this very exciting show. I'm very excited to be here today.
Great. So, Mike, we're gonna kick it right off. We want to know a little bit more about you. What is the role of the Executive Director of Special Populations?
So, as role of the Executive Director of Special Populations, which in my opinion is an extremely critical role for any districts, my primary roles I oversee our amazing special education department, which currently has right now over 2,000 students and 600 employees just within that one department. I also oversee our EL department by working very, very closely with Director Elda Bailey, and our adult education department where I work very, very closely with Supervisor Iwana Garrissy.
Before we move any further, can we mention our phone number?
Yes, like I said earlier, we're going to take a break from real estate today. No, we're not going to be talking about Nova Realty, but you are welcome to call us. Nofila's phone number is 313-443-7443. If you have questions after the show, or if you want to send a text message during the show, you don't want to call in live, we welcome your text messages after the show. My phone number is 313-580-8007. Nofila's is 313-443-74443. And again, Cena Radio, the phone number is 313-769-6666. And we do welcome your phone calls. Thank you.
If you have any questions, call us right away so we can get them through for Mike. Mike, you already answered the question, how many students are in the program? You have about 2,000. How many students are in the district?
In the district, we have roughly just a little bit under 20,000 students. Something to keep in mind too is we also consider some of our students to go to the non-publics within our district, some of our students, as through the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, which is really what governs special education. And just for people who aren't familiar, we call it IDEA, which is really what I kind of spelled out right now. And it really falls under the Americans with Disabilities Act too, and also the Section 504 Rehabilitation Act. Now, I'm not here to talk about any federal statute or laws, but just so everybody understands that we're really governed by the federal government.
Okay. So I'm just going to do a little bit in Arabic here. So مايك هو رئيس البرنامج للتلاميذ اللي عندهم احتياجات خاصة. Right? وعنا بالديستريكت بديربورن Public Schools في تقريبا 20,000 تلميذ in the district as a whole. ومن هال 20,000 في تقريبا 2,000 تلميذ عندهم احتياجات خاصة. Okay, Mike. Being that Dearborn is a closed district, Dearborn هو district مسكر، لازم تكون ساكن بالديستريكت لحتى تجيب تلاميذك على Dearborn. هل البرنامج التلاميذ الاحتياجات الخاصة مفتوح؟ Is it an open district for students with special needs?
No, we are not an open district for students with special needs. Now, from time to time, you may see students from other districts in our classrooms, and that is because we receive heavy funding from Wayne County RESA as we operate a program in our severely multiple impaired program. And when we talk about severe multiple impairment, typically these are students who have severe cognitive impairment, but also very severe medical needs as well.
Okay. So هو الديستريكت مسكر in general، بس في تلاميذ حسب الاتفاقية مع وين كاوني حسب احتياجاتهم ممكن يدخلوا على البرنامج. Okay. Mike, can you explain to us the difference between a 504 plan and an IEP?
Absolutely. So both of them fall under the federal law of Section 504 Rehabilitation Act. In order to qualify for an IEP or an individualized educational plan, or they can have social anxiety where they get really nervous about, some of their friends or whatever the situation may be. We can provide accommodations like, hey, make sure that they get a study guide, perhaps, before a test, so to reduce some of that anxiety, or we give them additional time to take the specific test, things along those lines. Um, so that's basically what it is. To qualify for an individualized educational plan or an IEP, you go through a battery of both cognitive and academic testing, typically led by our school psychologist. And if they qualify, great, they'll receive specific services, and it's all individualized based on what the specific student needs. So what you never want to see is you never want to see IEPs that look identical, because they shouldn't be. And the great thing about that is it really gives you a profound profile on every single child that's in front of you. Something that we've really, really done, I feel well. And in fact, we've been poked by the state for some of our materials, and especially design instruction. Back in 2017, when I initially started, actually I started in 2016, I became the interim director in 2017. In 2017, I saw that there was a lack of, the specially designed instruction on what are we providing special for some of our students within the classroom. We had some teachers who were doing it phenomenal. We had some teachers who just needed that support, maybe, because it's not something that's traditionally taught perhaps in their universities or things along those lines. So we developed it, and honestly, the basis of every single professional development we do right now is on specially designed instruction. How do unique needs of specific students, how are they met within the classroom? And we came up with almost like a guide or a manual to where we said, hey, if a child has short-term memory, deficits, what does this look like in the classroom? What are some things we can do? And that's available to all of our district employees. In fact, we've been having now districts all over the state really reach out to us right now to ask about this specific manual and how it can help support and assist, their specific student body and population. So it really, in a way, we all know that Dearborn Public Schools, we're always leading the way, and it really helped kind of make sure that it was embodying what everything else going on, the great things in Dearborn Public Schools is. So it's been a very, very positive experience for us.
So بالعربي شوي، البرنامج التعليمي المخصص هو برنامج لكل تلميذ بيفوت ببرنامج الاحتياجات الخاصة، وكل تلميذ برنامجه لإله، ما في تلميذين عندهم نفس البرنامج، وفي أنواع accommodations، كل تلميذ حسب احتياجاته. وما يعني ما بنفوت دغري على الاي اي بي، بدنا نمتحن الولد امتحان ذهني وتعليمي لحتى نعرف كل ولد وين مستواه. Thank you for that, Mike.
Nofila, I want to interrupt here for a second. Mr. Essiely seems so passionate about Dearborn Public Schools because that's where he works. And full disclosure, we're the hat I wear with Dearborn Public Schools. But you know what? To put it out there, we are the third largest district. So, the budget that we have, we're able to do a lot more. But the information that we're putting out there right now is information that can be used by parents in all districts. So that's very valuable. I just want to also mention, I want to thank Angela Khatir. She's the clinical director at the Individualized Outcomes for Autism. She's sponsoring today's program. Thank you very much, Angela. Angela's like a big advocate for students, one-on-one services. Visiting her website, the first thing I picked up was the sooner the better, and I'm sure Mr. Essiely is going to be referencing that in a little bit. So once your student, your child gets an autism diagnosis, you definitely want to get that information over to the school, or if you want to reach out to a private company for more one-on-one service, don't forget to reach out to Angela Khatir. Her phone number is 610-726-0479. 610-726-0479. I've known Angela for a long time. She does great work for us in the community. Before I let you go back to the beautiful interview here.
Our next question is, before we get into 504s and IEPs, we have to actually get into this, right? I'm a brand new parent with a child that I know has questions. I need to get them into the program. Where do I start?
So you could always email our office, or you give us a call. Our phone number is 313-827-7050. But honestly, as a district, we also have what we call child find requirements. Any special education program in any public school has a child find requirements, meaning it is also our responsibility to seek and find students with special education needs. Now, sometimes, obviously, it's more obvious than other times. But for parents, they always have the right to request a special education evaluation. And anybody that they email that has educational interest in their child, we would have that's when a timeline comes into place. I believe we have about 7 to 10 days to respond on whether or not we are going to evaluate the specific child or not. I'll tell you, 9.9 times out of 10, we do go ahead and we do the special education evaluation. Because we understand that there's a partnership here. Parents play a specific role. Us as professionals, we also play a specific role, right? Nobody knows their child better than parents. And that's the reality of it. And that's what we understand. And I believe that's what makes us unique in Dearborn Public Schools. Not that other school districts aren't doing this or other school districts aren't excelling in this, but what we want to make sure is we understand the village approach. It truly, truly takes a village. And the reality is that can go for any child, but specifically for child with special education needs. So kind of as a recap, as a short summary, if you're suspecting a disability within your child, maybe you're seeing some things that maybe you feel aren't neurotypical or aren't typical of what other peers are going through, contact anyone from the school that you know, any email that you know. And if you can't contact, you can't email, just please reach out to the special education department. We have a fabulous staff there that will be very, very accommodating and will be extremely quick to respond. In fact, we have a 24-hour rule. I'll tell you this, I rarely break my own rule, but with me, it's probably within an hour or two, just because we understand there's anxiety out there. You know, you're thinking, this is your baby, this is your pot of gold. So we're going to treat that just the way that you treat it, even sometimes better. And that's really our goal, and that's what we strive to do.
So للأهالي اللي عندهم تلاميذ بالبرنامج أو بدهم يدخلوا على البرنامج, the phone number is 313-827-7050.
Correct.
Okay. You mentioned your village, the village. Everyone has their village. Talk to us a little more about this village.
Yeah. So
who's in there?
So obviously we're an integral part of the village, right?
Yeah.
But the village is the entire community. And if you've kind of seen really over the last decade, I'm going to tell you from where I started to where we are now, how much more our village is really involved within special education here in Dearborn. You see phenomenal things going on. So first and foremost, I think we're probably the only district in the state of Michigan that has special education PTA. Which thank you, Ms. Haidar, for your service to that. You've really, really enhanced, some of the things we can offer and provide to our students as being the president. So thank you so much. We understand that you have to move on now, so we're a little bit nervous, but we're confident there's going to be a wonderful replacement. In addition to that, if you just look within our community, within Dearborn, homecoming's next week, right? There's Special Education All-Stars Hour. There's outstanding organizations out there. Trustee Berry, you mentioned IOA. They've been an outstanding partner with Dearborn Public Schools, whether it was assisting with Halloween pumpkin patches alongside the PTA, or whether it was autism walks. We have Blue Hands United, who really, really supports, the cause. And really these advocacy groups are making everything a lot better. I mean, Dearborn Police Department, I believe it was just a couple of weeks ago, had a registry for any child or any parent of someone with special needs. These are things I can tell you. Maybe they were around 10 years ago, but I wasn't really aware of them. And that's what I talk about when it talks about a village. And also, like, the key thing is partnership. What I always know is whenever we come to the table and wherever there's an issue, wherever there's a problem, one thing is always in common. We want what's best for the child. We want to maximize their potential. Now, we may disagree on how to get there. That's okay. We'll talk about it. We'll figure some things out, and we go from there. And here's the thing. The parent's perspective is equally as important. We have some colleagues who may be, and when I say colleagues outside of Dearborn, who may be frustrated by advocacy and things like that. It's the opposite here. We welcome it. I want to work with advocates. We want to do those specific things because, hey, maybe there's a perspective or there's something we're not understanding. And when I say the village, it doesn't just stop from 8 to 3. We have a phenomenal team in Dearborn. I am so blessed. that when I talk about special education specifically, the 600 staff members we have, the 600 plus, they work from their heart. They're willing to do things like we have some teachers who'll take their students and assist their parents to a dentist appointment. We have some situations to where they're struggling or there's challenges at home because, a child who has severe autism is going through puberty, right? And they're starting to see some behaviors escalated and whatnot. We've had some staff members who have asked, hey, can I go and help, the parent with whatever, 1, 2, 3.
Outside of work hours?
Outside of work hours. And that's what we talk about when we say it's truly, truly a village. And it's listening to people, it's understanding their perspective, and it's making the plan work for really our most precious students in the district.
One last question, and we're going to take a break. We know that our district is special in that we have the language support?
Absolutely. Like within our department alone, I'll just talk about within our department. Ms. Lila Ayman works as a liaison who will regularly, obviously, help and support with some of those things. But also in the district, Ms. Manar Kudma, who really works through the Student Services Office and her team with the different liaisons within the district. We do have those specific supports. I'll tell you, in some of our meetings as well, we've been inviting Michigan Alliance for Families, and what they're now doing and what they really do, and the reason why we invite them is we train our parents on the IEP process. What questions should you ask? Because the last thing I want is a parent not knowing or not understanding the services their child is having. And also, if they feel like the child needs more, that their child needs something different, we want them to ask. Those are, Mr. Berry, I did watch the episode last week, and I'll tell you this, something that you said that really, really resonated with me is that we want our parents to really support our children. And I believe you multiplied that by 10 to 20 when you're talking about a child with special needs. We want them at the table. So just to kind of answer that, Michigan Alliance for Families now has translators. So when they come in and they train our parents at some of these parent meetings in the IEP process, they're actually speaking to them in Arabic. We also have the ability to translate any document that we have within special education. I know we're very document heavy. One child after one meeting could have over 70 to 80 pages, but we have the power to translate all of that in whatever language that our parents need. The best thing we want to make sure and ensure that's happening all times, our parents are informed.
Good for you. No, it's a very valid point. We welcome your phone calls from Mr. Essiely. Phone number here is 313-769-6666. Senior Radio, 313-769-6666. And we'll take your calls right after this quick break. Well, welcome back to You Need to Know with Hussein and Nofila. I just want to take an opportunity one more time to put the phone number out there for Senior Radio, 313-769-6666. And I also want to take an opportunity to thank Ms. Naveen Haidar. She's handling our social media today, and she keeps us in line during the show. Nofila, why don't we continue? This has been a great, great show, so why don't we go ahead and continue?
So we have some tough questions, Michael. We're not going to make it too tough for you. Um, let's say a parent has an issue. There's students in the program, and there's an issue. What does the chain of command look like? Where do they go first?
Well, I mean, typically, like everything, out of respect for the teacher, you always want to reach out to the teacher first, right? The teacher has the greatest insight on some specific things. Now, if you have issues with that, you're always, always welcome to obviously reach out to your building administrators, or you can also reach out to our special education administrators. So the way that our administrative team is set up within Dearborn Public Schools is I'm the executive director, and who reports directly to me is we have 6 special education coordinators. Some of the coordinators, we kind of use what we use with the district model with Dr. Maleko, the feeder model. Other coordinators specialize in specific things. So for example, Ms. Mariam Alawi, she's your go-to for all the elementary autism programs, in addition to our early childhood special education programs. And what we specifically do, and you know, if you do have Instagram, please follow our special education page on Instagram. Right on there, you'll kind of see all of our contact information. But first and foremost, always start with the teacher. You can always go to your building level administrators, and then you can reach out to us in special education. We'll make sure that somebody, addresses some of your concerns that you have and goes from there. I'll tell you, through my experiences, a lot of times, some of these concerns come from communication or actually lack thereof. So what we want to do is we want to ensure that everybody is being heard, everybody is being understood, and nothing is being misunderstood to cause any frustration or whatever the situation may be. But I'll say this, you know, as a parent, and I've said this numerous times to our amazing parents, your first and foremost job is to be an advocate for your child. So what I do ask all the parents to do is always advocate for your children. Don't worry about hurting people's feelings. Remember, you know, I refer to it as your pot of gold. That's your pot of gold. You know, obviously we always want you to do it in a respectful manner. And you know, something too, just to have some insight, because I've never met an educator who's gone into, you know, education for reasons besides really wanting to help people. And I want people to understand that is, you know, sometimes, you know, people do their best, but they also make mistakes at times. And although, you know, we want to most definitely, you know, try to develop systems and training to where people aren't making mistakes, understand that it's those. Um, but we're putting a lot of systems and processes in place, and through my years, to where honestly it was through advocacy of parents and different things along those lines, to where we're responding to some things, and we're also learners as well, you know, and it starts with me. You know, what are the newest cutting edge methods that we can do to train our paraprofessionals? We do think outside the box. We are probably one of the very few districts in Southeast Michigan, at least, to where we actually have 2 full-time behavior. They're BCBAs, I believe. What they're called is they're really experts within behavior, within the primarily the autism field. And the reason why we did that is we listened to our community, but also what I noticed is when we were hiring paraprofessionals, they have what they call technicians, and their technicians were always doing an amazing job as paraprofessionals. So we wanted to try to, as much as possible, duplicate some of that training so they can respond to our situations with our very precious children the best that they can.
Okay. I want to go back to when you said the IEP training for parents. هو تدريب الأهالي لفهم البرنامج التعليمي الفردي وترجمة البرنامج التعليمي الفردي. اللي عنده سؤالات عن هذه الترجمة بكل اللغات 313-827-7050 اطلبوا هذه المساعدة للي عندهم language barriers. So going back to that, it's very important for a parent to be trained. In the past, I remember, and the reason I got into special education is because parents would reach out through my PTA service and they would ask, I need help. I'm afraid to go into the IEP meeting because I don't understand what's going on. So it's very important that you open that door to training a parent in understanding the IEP process. So I wanted to thank you for that.
Of course.
So the next question would be, there are other things that parents need, right? I mean, some parents don't only have language barriers. What are you doing there?
I mean, so I could tell you through the EL department. I don't know if we've modeled this yet, but the EL department for their parent meetings many times will provide transportation, and those are some things we can definitely consider within special education. To when we have a parent meeting, can we have one of our district buses at maybe a main location so parents can get to us? Other things we're doing right now as well is we're also holding virtual meetings. I mean, it's the era of technology and whatnot, right? So, I know especially at PTA, you guys did a wonderful job at this. Through some of our parent meetings too, in the past, what we've done is we've done a hybrid model to where, hey, if you couldn't make it, you can just Zoom in. Or you can come in person. So those are just, some of the different things and avenues that we can definitely explore. But it is so critical to have parent involvement as well, especially if your child has an individualized educational plan.
And when it comes to advocating, I'm sure every parent wants to advocate for their student, right? But if they're not able to, how comfortable is the district or are the IEP meeting specialists with a parent bringing an advocate into the meeting?
I tell you, I'm very comfortable. In fact, within their procedural safeguards, and every parent gets a procedural safeguard, which just kind of tells all parents their rights for special education. You will have contact information on different advocacy groups, whether it's Michigan Alliance for Families, whoever, or ARC, or whoever the situation may be. And we welcome that. And I'll tell you, the reality is the worst thing that can happen to any child is anyone who's uninformed, that's an IEP team member. And that's what we don't want. So the reality is, if you're not feeling comfortable, I can tell you this, my role is very, very neutral sometimes within an IEP team meeting. I have to hear a lot of perspectives, but I can tell you, me personally, I have no issue when we make mistakes. We need to own them and we need to be held accountable to them and we need to make things right. And there's been circumstances to where, hey, we're not perfect. We've done some things that maybe we could have done a little bit better. But we've worked very, very hard to try to, first mend the relationship, then make things right, which we can always do. But the reality is with advocacy, please, if you're not feeling comfortable or, there's a lot of information thrown at you or, in special education, we're very acronym happy all the time, right? Reach out to us. We'll find some people. We also have liaisons in the district. I tell you, I did mention Miss Lila Amon before. I'll mention her again right now to where, I've seen her in action, in meetings, asking some questions on behalf of the parents, which were very insightful and very powerful as well.
I can share a story with you. One time I was asked to come in as an advocate into an IEP meeting, and I found myself in the middle. The parent, absolute love for their child. And then on the other side of the table was the staff, all of the people that were involved in this IEP program. And you're right, everyone had the best interest of the child's heart, but the break was, or the disconnect was, in getting them both to understand each other's point of view. So I was literally translating, and it wasn't even a difference in language. I was just translating intentions. And by the end of the meeting, I think everyone was happy. Because the parent finally felt like, oh, you know what, they love my daughter or my son the way I love them, and maybe a little differently because they're looking at the student from a professional perspective, and the parent was looking from a love and emotions perspective. But just being able to translate everyone's intention.
Absolutely. We've had many advocates who've been that bridge, and we appreciate that, right? And like I said, everyone's got kind of their heart in it. Their heart's in the right place. The goal is the same. And when the goal is the same, that's great. It's just figuring out how do we get to that specific goal. And some things take time. I will tell you, our special education staff, they're phenomenal. What makes them phenomenal is their love, their care, their persistence, and their execution. And things don't happen overnight. When we're dealing with challenging situations, they take a little bit of time, but I'm going to say trust the process. And I'm going to kind of share a little story here. And Dad always gives me the permission to share this story. Uh, we had a student who actually we had him go to a separate day treatment, so a separate school for special education needs that really have severe emotional needs. That specific school was having him maybe like it was 4-on-1, meaning 4 adults to the one kiddo for about 20 minutes a day. And they said they weren't making progress. So they said, Dearborn, there's nothing we can do. Okay, this was year one as director, by the way. So what we did was, for the first 6 months he was back with us, we developed a special program for him. Okay, what I'm going to tell you is this was about the 4th, 5th grade. By the time he was in the 8th grade, he left Salina Intermediate. He won like the Perseverance of the Year award, something along those lines, as you know, the kid who persevered the most. 2 years later, his special education teacher was calling me and advocating, hey, can we hire a paraprofessional so he can be on the swim team? So that's when I say trust the process and believe in kids. And one thing that we always do is we say we're going to lead with empathy, not sympathy. Meaning we're going to feel you, we're going to understand your story, okay? We're going to try to help your story, but we're not going to lower expectations. The second we lower expectations for any individual, we don't maximize their potential. It's the same thing for special education, just like it is for any general education or neurotypical student that we have.
I'm glad you mentioned empathy, not sympathy, because we had a little discussion before the show was on, so I was in a probie to elaborate on that a little bit. People are thinking out there, Sam's being a little quiet. In my role in the public schools, I have to be quiet. I can have so many successful stories I can share with you, but not most likely, because of privacy laws, I can't. But I can tell you one thing: whenever I call Mr. Essiely, I know it's going to be a successful outcome, successful as can be, as much as what he can do. Most parents actually call me back and say, thank you for connecting me, Mr. Essiely. He did a wonderful job. And we are blessed. I'm very thankful that Mr. Essiely is part of our team. Speaking of team and partners, again, I want to thank Angela Khater, the clinical director at IOA, Individualized Outcomes for Autism, for sponsoring today's shows. If you have any questions for Angela, her phone number is 610-726-0479. And if you have any questions for Nofila, myself, or Mr. Essiely, the phone number is 313-769-6666. We're waiting to hear from you. Nofila?
One last question for you, Mike. You've been with the district 20 years, you said. So what kind of experiences prepared you to become the person you are?
So it starts out in your roots. My father, who some of you may know, Hajj Sulaiman Essiely, means the world to me. He grounded some things in me about, caring about individuals and about working hard and really valuing education. And that molded me into the man that I've become. Outside of that, I'll tell you this, not a lot of people know this, but when I went and I got my undergrad in education through Wayne State University, it was in general education. It was in social studies. So at the time, though, I graduated in about 2005 from Wayne State University. There was there was a recession at the time, if people recall that time. So jobs were very, very hard to come by in general education or social studies. Yeah. So I was offered a long-term substitute position at Stout Middle School in a special education classroom. And my principal at the time, God rest her soul, Julia McConaughey, she really saw something in me. We were individualizing things. When I say we, I had a couple of paraprofessionals. Ms. Widad Matuk, who's still employed in the district to this day, was one of them. We individualized things, and we were making incredible gains with some of our kids. And I'll tell you, it was just fulfilling for me. So what I ended up doing was I went back to college. I got my master's in special education, and I became a special education teacher. And I'll tell you, my students and my families, through my experiences at Stout, have really molded me and taught me so much. They taught me how to be empathetic, maybe a little bit too much sometimes. I remember, one of my kiddos messing up or making a mistake and going into the principal's office saying, you can't suspend him, he didn't do this on purpose, or, whatever the situation may be. And then after that, I was blessed to work at Laurie Middle School as an assistant principal under the leadership of Miss Rima Yunus, who also, again, kind of built on that empathy and how, we do this right for kids. And she also helped me a lot through my career. And then obviously through special education, and I'm forever grateful to Dr. Maleko, who saw something in me and continued to believe in me in the work. And I'll tell you, what's funny is I was looking back a couple months ago, I was like, let me pull out the 5-year plan that I had created when I interviewed to become special education director. And I can tell you I could probably check off like 90 to 95% of those boxes. And it's really having a goal, but believing in yourself. I'm a proud Fort Sin grad. I was never the smartest kid in the classroom, but when we talk about some specific things about resilience and about continuing to move forward, that's what really it was about. And honestly, life is bigger than us. Dearborn Public Schools is bigger than me. And just understanding that and being grounded in that and understanding that everybody has their story, listen to their story. And you'd be surprised at just listening to their story and helping them get through some specific things, what that power could be. And that's what I try to instill in every single staff member, whether they directly or indirectly report to me. And that's what's the most important thing. And I've been blessed. I've been blessed with great people all the way around. And we honestly do, and I know you don't want any plugs, but we have an amazing board who really supports our programs. And I'll tell you, they invest in our programs, they invest in us and our students and our family and our community. So we're very blessed to have that. Now, we're not perfect by any means. We make mistakes, and there's still some things we need to improve upon. But I promise you that we're going to continue to work on those things and continue to make things better for our students because they deserve it. Our community deserves it. There is no reason Dearborn shouldn't be number one in everything. And I know this is through, all of Southeast Michigan. And hopefully, our work then transcends to everybody else, is really what our goal is, to help everybody.
So after, thank you, what age do students leave Dearborn? What happens next?
Yeah. So if they graduate with a high school diploma, which is always our goal, and I do want to give a plug to our staff, in 2023, for the first time ever, so special education is graded by like a report card of indicators from the state of, actually start from the federal government in the state of Michigan, and it comes down to us. For the first time ever, we actually met the requirement for graduation rates for students with special needs. And that was absolutely a beautiful thing, and it was remarkable, and it was attributed to our entire district, not just me per se, or whatever the situation may be. But when they graduate with a high school diploma, our obligations, for lack of better words, end with the special education students. However, in the state of Michigan, students with IEPs get K to 26, get birth to 26 services, meaning that until they're 26, they'll be serviced within our school district to any specific capacity. It looks different for all students. Internally, what are some of our programs now? We have an amazing program at Crowell Hospital called Project Search, to where we have some specific students who maybe weren't on what we call a diploma track. They're on a non-diploma track. What we provide them there are vocational job training skills. Ms. Erin Fogarty is the teacher there. She does a phenomenal job. And they work closely with the Crowell staff. They give them different jobs to do, different things to do. And what it really, really leads into, and what our goal is independence and employment. And that's for any single specific child, is we want them as independent as possible. We want them to be contributors to society. And I know, like 3 years ago, we had actually our very first intern, we call them interns, was hired directly by Crowell Hospital. At the Hype Community Center, we also have post-secondary programs for our moderate cognitively impaired students, and it's the same concept. We give them vocational skills. We have great partners all across Dearborn, and that's when I say it takes a village. One that comes to mind, some of our students will go to local restaurants like Modern Greek and help prepare specific things over there. It's a win-win, right? It gives our students some specific skills, and it also helps, our local communities and businesses.
The answer to the text message I just received is yes, we'll bring on Mike for another another
Okay.
show. It's been, like I said, I did not let you down. This has been a great show, a lot of information. Obviously, Mr. Essiely's passion comes through. Even though you listen to it on the radio, I'm feeling the vibes here, and I'm sure you can hear it in his voice. Okay, just to kind of let you know what's coming up next week. August 1st, our show will be Selling Your Home, What to Expect. So that will be sponsored by Nova Realty, Nofila and myself, and we'll have a ton of information. Then we're going to go back to school issues. There'll be reading tests and reading scores. Well, Nofila and I will break down, and we will have a special guest to help us in that department. Again, if you have any questions after we're off the air, you're welcome to call Nofila at 313-443-7443 or myself, 313-580-8007. Nofila, you got any last minute questions to kind of wrap up with Mr. Essiely?
Well, is there anything else you want to tell us?
No.
Anything for this upcoming school year to look forward to?
Well, just first and foremost, I appreciate the opportunity today to really share the story of our special education and special populations department, really within Dearborn Public Schools. Back to school could be an anxious time for a lot of our students and our parents. I know you guys gave some great advice last week. The best thing I can tell you is that, I know we're wrapping up today actually a phenomenal summer program for many, many of our students, including a lot of our special education students. And the thing is, rest and relax this last month. Let your kiddos have some downtime, right? But then as the school year approaches, as we're within, 12, 11, 10 days, start preparing them, especially for our students with more significant disabilities and whatnot. Start preparing them, that, hey, you may be in a new school, or you may have a new teacher, or hey, you're going back to the same teacher, same school. Just kind of get that mindset ready. And also understand that your journey is a marathon and not a sprint. A bad day, a bad week, a bad month, a bad year doesn't define anything. In fact, sometimes that's just data for us, for you, to do things better, to help support your children. Our parents are amazing. They're superheroes. Their passion always comes out. I appreciate the comment about my passion, but my passion honestly feeds into the community that I serve and their passion that they have. So that's about it. And we're always here for you. I work literally 365 days a year. I'm always accessible, and we're partners in all of this.
Mike, thank you very much. Honest to God, this has been a great show. And I know Mr. Essiely mentioned homecoming earlier. That's the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd of August. That's at Ford Field. Dearborn Public Schools will be there. I'm pretty sure they'll be handing out books like they usually do every year. And I don't have the date with me, and I'm not going to put Nofila on the spot and ask her. We'll give you the date for the PTA back to school picnic. So those are just a couple of events to kind of keep on the radar. Great show. Nofila, any last minute?
I'm pretty sure it's August 23rd.
I think she's right. It's August 23rd, but we'll have the exact date and time and everything at the next show. So don't forget, if you have any questions for us, Nofila is 313-58. No, my phone number is 313-580-8007. Nofila is 313-443-7443. And again, thank you, Senior Radio, for providing this for us to get this information. Very valuable information. And again, Mike, thank you very much, and wishing you a very successful year coming up.
Arabic for the parents اللي كان عم يسمعنا وبيحكي عربي بس وعنده سؤالات عن برنامج اليوم يتصل فينا 313-443-7443. بنقدر نترجم كل اللي حكيناه لأنه ما قدرنا نفوت كتير عربي.
Have a great weekend, everybody. Thank you.